Hello everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Great Britain in OpenTTD. Sorry about the fairly long breaks between episodes. I'm still, like I said in the last episode, getting used to making videos, and also I'm in the process of moving house, so I'm having to balance my time, although I do have a lot of it. Anyway, now we're seeing here comes the pronunciation, Llanelli Railway, extending its line up the valley into Birmingham. Okay, yeah, close enough. And also this line is later going to become a branch line between Great Western and London North Western trains into Swansea, so I've extended that station into a branch line. Next comes the London and South Western finally bridging the gap in its main line between Winchester and Basingstoke, meaning we can finally have 3 trains to Southampton, and then later in the episode from the Portsmouth and Gosport. I spent a lot of time redeveloping this junction because the line goes from up, down, down to up, down, if that makes sense. So I want to do that efficiently. The usual method involves bridges and diagonal bridges, which we can't really simulate, so I guess I'm going to have to settle for this less efficient option. In between episodes I'm going to go around all the trains and fix the orders, because like I said, I'm going to be repeating the services as found in 1910, so once a full line is completed, I'll try and make the service pattern similar to what it was in reality at the time. Next we have the Midland Counties Railway, beginning its main line from Trent Junction to Leicester. Obviously this will become part of the Midland main line. I hope you don't mind the quite long episode. It's just that if I split it up into 2 episodes, it takes longer to create, and it just makes it a bit more awkward. So I'm just doing it like this, and it also means I can do a bit faster footage as well. Because at the end of the day, this series is mostly just for me, so I can document my process of filling in the map slowly but surely. The content creation side of it is just kind of a side part, a second priority. Yes. The link between Leicester London Road and Leicester Midland was added much later. I think it wasn't until the 1870s, because at that point Westbridge became more and more run down until its closure. Next we have the opening of the London and Brighton, which just opened a branch at first between Brighton and Shoreham. For some reason I can't actually clear churches in towns, which makes it very awkward. It means I have to create 2 platforms at Brighton, much smaller than the rest. I'll try and get around to fixing it, because I've discovered I can demolish some but not all. I don't know why. Oh well. Put in a shuttle service to Worthing, just because it's the closest town. No one ever really uses these shuttle services, but it's better than nothing. we have infinite money at the end of the day. Aesthetics are more important. Mostly. Next, there we go. We are moving all the way back up to the Midland again. We're seeing the opening of the North Midland between Chesterfield, no, not Chesterfield, sorry, Rotherham. Masborough, yes, that's, I had to check my notes there, which is the name of the Rotherham station that the Midland used. So the North Midland is opening between Derby and Rotherham, and we now have a tri-junct station at Derby, or at least what I'm saying that is the meeting point of 3 railway companies, which is why it became such an important part in the Midland Railway, as it's where its 2 main lines cross each other. And interesting about the Midland, compared to pretty much every other railway company, was its mileage posts weren't measured from London, they were measured from Derby, because that was where the 3 original founding companies of the Midland met. The link between Chesterfield and Sheffield we know today didn't actually open until the 1870s. Until then, trains to Sheffield had to reverse at Rotherham, which is what we're going to see them be doing once this line is completed. I'm putting the lines in as 4 tracks where they are in reality, and then 2 tracks where they are in reality, or at least where I can. I try to balance them. For example, down in the South Wales Valley, some of the lines are 4 or even 6 tracks, but I just simply can't fit them in because of the limits of the game. Unfortunately, because trains into Sheffield use Rotherham Westgate, it means that people won't really changing trains and then walking to the next station, which I don't think the game lets people do. So the only way to do that would be to have a bus service between the 2 stations in Rotherham. So I think I'm going to have to do that for every single city with more than 1 station. Quickly, we have seen the opening of the Preston and Longridge Railway, which is just a small branch line from Preston up to Longridge, and the various factories and quarries nearby. There was actually plans to extend this line over all the way to Leeds via Skipton, but these just it was too ambitious for the time. Now we're seeing the Great Western extend once again. In this episode we see the Great Western extend, or at least the main line extend from Twyford all the way to Exeter, I believe. Yeah, there's very, very quick progress in this region. But for now it's just opening as far as Didcot. I think in just a few months' time it's going to get to Swindon and then Shipping and so on. Although you can have shared orders between trains, it becomes annoying eventually to rename all of them. So, you know what, I'll come back to this later. We'll move down now. Yeah, we're seeing the opening of the Manchester and Birmingham Railway. I know we skipped out the construction of Manchester-London Road there, but that's just because of the recording. There was a few problems along the way, I apologise. But you'll see plenty of it, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, as I was saying, it becomes annoying to rename trains individually when a line extends. For example, the trains renamed from London to Reading to London to Didcot and then London to Chippenham, and so on. It just becomes annoying, so eventually I believe I just put the names as what the final services will be, just to save some time. The Auckland North Midland finally extends its main line to Normanton. I don't know the pronunciation, I apologise for once again. I apologise a lot about this. As that was where it was planned to meet the North Midland, which would become the main line to London. Next we have the Birmingham and Gloucester Railway, which is built to extend the hub of the railways, which was Birmingham at the time, to the West Country, like Gloucester, and then eventually down to Bristol. At the minute we're just opening it as far as Bromsgrove, which you don't actually have as a town, so I'm just putting it as shuttle service to Redditch. We may actually add Bromsgrove as a town if I can, as this in modern day as well as some of these Lichfield line terminate. I don't know the name. Cross City, that's the one. That's where those trains terminate, so I might actually add Bromsgrove. We also put an Ashchurch station for another shuttle service to Tewkesbury. Somewhere on this line, I believe, is the the steepest main line gradient in the UK. Can't remember the right definition. I've done my research. Bankers were used on this line until not that long ago. All steam trains had to be pushed up, and because of this, the LMS actually built I think it's the largest steam locomotive to be built in Britain and to be used in Britain, specifically for pushing trains up this incline. It was that steep and that long. Next we're seeing the Lancaster and Preston Junction Railway. Well, it's in the name. The junction part came from what we think of junctions today was a branch line coming off a main line to form like a triangle almost, whereas another form of junction is called an end-on junction, which is a place where two companies or two railway companies meet. For example, in a through station. The line at one end would be one company, the line at the other end is another different company, so that was called an end-on junction. back down to the south within the Eastern Counties Railway, extending from its temporary terminus in Stratford and right into London at the still in use today, Liverpool Street. Next we have a small suburban line which is opening from Fenchurch Street to Blackwall, which is in the Docklands area. This line is hard to put in, as will all the suburban lines be. You can see how short it is in a moment. So I just put it in as a small single track line. It's not going to make any money, possibly ever, but it's for the realism. And eventually that line will extend down to Canary Wharf in the Isle of Dogs. And eventually will become part of the DLR. Which is why I've left some space there, so I can extend the line down when I need to. It's instances like this where the line is actually double track. Poplar Station's actually on a separate branch as to the line that diverts southward there. But I can't fit it in, and I don't want to fit it in. Now we're seeing the completion of the North Midland going into Leeds Wellington Street, which will connect up to Leeds City, and those two stations actually merge later in the century into Leeds New, which is still a station that's in use today. Leeds Wellington Street being what is now the terminus platforms, and Leeds City being now what is now the three platforms. Anyway, with the completion of the North Midland, we'll actually see the Manchester and Leeds and the York and North Midland actually have some use. Expresses from London to Derby via the West Coast Mainline and Midland Counties Railway. That's what's happened in reality before the extension to St Pancras was built. Although I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping the services, as people can just get normal trains via London North West and then just change at Rugby. The London North Western. That company didn't exist yet, it won't exist for another 7 years. Here I am sorting out all different trains just to reorganise all the services. Hull and Selby Railway is extending the Leeds and Selby Railway to Hull, as it is a major port city, and Selby port was getting too full with all the ships to transfer goods into Leeds. Huntsine is also situated there, longest straight line in the country. You can't really simulate that in OpenTTD as all the lines are straight, but it's still a fact for you. Now the Preston and Wire Railway, I think that's what it was called, I couldn't actually find that much information on it, so it's half guesswork. Anyway, it's opening between Preston and Fleetwood for all the ferry services out of there. With this, it's actually possible to travel between London and Fleetwood now. It's a long distance for the time, and it just shows you how fast the railway has developed. Next, the Maryport and Carlisle between the port town of Maryport and temporary terminus in Aspatria. Yeah, which I don't have a town for, so it's just a road service into Selloth for now. For some reason the trains around Wigan kept acting up. Next, the Glasgow and Paisley Joint Railway. It's in the name. But this actually meant I had to build Glasgow Central. Now I do realise this station wasn't built until the 1890s, but I don't want to be messing around with a lot of different temporary termini. There's actually a joint line between the Glasgow, Paisley and Greenock Railway and the Glasgow, Paisley, Kilmarnock and Ayr Railway. I pronounced it wrong, it's Kilmarnock. Learned that on a rail tour. But it's because these two, both these companies, both had a very, very similar route between Glasgow and Paisley. So Parliament just forced them to use a joint line to save space and money. Changed it out in Glasgow a fair bit because there was 4 stations to fit in Glasgow, as well as 2 east to west suburban lines that go underground. So I added in the stations in this episode just so the city goes around it. That's the end of it. Well, at the same time, Glasgow, Paisley, Kilmarnock and Ayr Railway is opening between where the junction diverges in Paisley and Ayr, so it's for Mainlines pretty much. Now this railway is actually going to become the Glasgow and South Western Railway, which is one of the slightly smaller of the regrouping companies, but it had a monopoly of a lot of South Western Scotland. One of the smallest of the 5 principal Scottish companies. Straight afterwards, the Ardrossan Railway, which is branching off the Glasgow South Western Main Line to provide a service to Ardrossan docks, where there's also ferry services to the various Scottish Isles. Scotland, the Slamanan Railway is extending the Blockney over to Manuel, where will be streamed extended to bonus there to the docks there. So now we have nearly an Edinburgh to Glasgow connection already. This line was principally used for minerals and stuff, but it had some passenger services. This shuttle is very short-lived, as in a couple of years Edinburgh and Glasgow Railway is going to open and run right through. Sorry about that bang. Next, the Chester and Birkenhead Railway, which later became the Birkenhead Railway, which later became a joint railway between the Great Western and the London North Western Railways. But this railway was actually meant to connect with the Chester and Crewe Railway to connect to provide a service from the main line of Crewe all the way to Birkenhead for more ferries and stuff, to have competition with Liverpool. This actually runs into Birkenhead Woodside, which was closed where in the 60s when as the line was later electrified and they used the Mersey Tunnel for trains between Chester and Liverpool, which is still in use today, and Merseyrail. Next we have the Northern and Eastern Railway, which is actually proposed as a direct railway from London to York via Cambridge, Peterborough and Doncaster. So it wasn't that far away from what came as the Great Northern Railway, but it ran out of funds very quickly. It barely even reached Cambridge before it was absorbed. But now it is known as the West Anglia Mainline. The Chester and Crewe. This is being opened right now, and it was operated from the outset by the Grand Junction Railway. So it may actually provide some Birmingham to Chester services, because then it could really compete with Liverpool as a port. Now we're seeing the Manchester and Leeds Railway extending from Rochdale to Hebden Bridge. Later in the year it will be met here by the line to Normanton. Now we have the Taff Vale Railway opening between sorry, I'm just looking through my notes. There it is. Between Cardiff Bute Street, I believe Bute Road, what's now called Cardiff Bay, and Abercynon. I genuinely am sorry to all Welsh people. I'm making you sit through this. Or probably I'm just sitting here while I look at my notes and try and find out. I was debating whether to actually build Cardiff General as well, so demolish loads, and I think I've eventually settled on building it because the lines kind of connect up there anyway. So this is the first proper railway in the South Wales valleys, built to transport all the many coal mines down to the huge dock at Cardiff. Once again, church is getting in the way. Better build my way around it. Now the Birmingham and Gloucester, I think, finishing its line into New Street. Nothing was New Street at the time, it would have been a temporary terminus until New Street was completed. But now this and quickly moving on, the Great Western extending to Swindon. Don't have much else to say about this. It's Swindon. At the minute, however, Swindon actually started off as a tiny village, pretty much, and it grew into the town today, mostly because of the works, the massive Great Western Railway works, which have been closed for quite some time now, but they let the town grow into fairly large population. Most of the men who lived there would have worked at the works or other some sort of Great Western Railway career. I know my commentary is terrible. I apologise. Now that Manchester and Birmingham Railway is completing its line into Crewe, believe there were plans for Manchester and Birmingham direct railway, which ran there via Macclesfield, Stoke, and I believe diverted west into Walsall before making its way into Birmingham, but this was dropped in favour of North Staffordshire, which linked Stoke and Stockport, so Macclesfield. But the Manchester and Birmingham just ran into Crewe, which at that point had paid the Grand Junction to let it run trains into Birmingham on its line. Now we have the Great North of England Railway, opening between Darlington and York, extending the main line further, so now we have a direct connection between London and Newcastle, if you're willing to change trains and spend several days. I'm not sure if the Stockton and Hartlepool are those, but I'll have to check and we'll find out soon enough. I'll be narrating it over. For now, Mainline's been extended to Darlington. Connects here with the Stockton and Darlington Railway now. So it's no longer an isolated system up in the northeast. Now we have the Bolton and Preston Railway, opening half its line from Bolton and Chorley. I don't have much to say about this. It later became part of the North Union Railway, which was then absorbed by the North Western and Lancashire and Yorkshire, but not into a joint railway. Half the track went into possession of one company and half the track went in possession of the other. Now we have the Stockton and Hartlepool Railway, which opened between West Hartlepool and Stockton, the other Hartlepool station being for the Hartlepool Dock and Railway. With opening this line, actually you could transport all the metals by train rather than a truck, which is all we're doing from Port Clarence. With the linking of these lines, it also allowed more freight services to be run, like put-in services from as well to Hartlepool for the power station there, and more coal, which comes all the way from Newcastle eventually. Now these weren't there in reality, but it's just for the money making and to have more trains running. Now we have the Manchester and Leeds finishing up its line, like I mentioned earlier. So now we have a connection over the Pennines linking the west and east coasts. Mentioned railway, the Glasgow, Paisley and Greenock Railway, completing what's now the Inter-Clyde line. Anyway, it's between Glasgow and Gourock now. It's such a short distance between Greenock and Gork, I just decided to put the full line in now, so I don't have to come back to it. Another one of those lines that's 2 tracks in reality, but I couldn't really fit that in, so I just put it as 1. Taffvale is finishing out the main line, extending to Merthyr Tydfil. Yeah, the pronunciation. In reality, these trains run into Plymouth Street. No, it wasn't Plymouth Street, it was a different one. High Street or something. The station closed in only a few more decades. So I'm not including it. New company, the Cheltenham and Great Western Union Railway, which, as the name implies, was built to connect the Great Western Railway at Swindon to Cheltenham. They didn't actually finish this line in time. Before they became absorbed by the Great Western, they only had the funding to complete this as far as Kemble, and then the branch line to Cirencester. At the same time, the Great Western Railway extended from its terminus at Swindon to Chippenham. Here, in the future, but it's the line to Plymouth. That company opened, at least partially. Something Wilson Weymouth Railway. I should know this. Straight away, we're actually finishing off the line. There's 1 month difference, I didn't notice, but the Great Western extending from Chippenham all the way into Bristol, so we're finally seeing the completion of the Great Western Railway. Bristol Temple Meads, at least at the time of the grouping, was actually jointly owned between the Great Western and the Midland, so the Midland could run trains from Bristol up to Derby. They did have their own station at St Philip's, but I think that was only had like 1 platform. It was more of a good station than anything, and it just became more and more run down. Now we have the Bristol and Exeter Railway, immediately extending the Great Western Main Line. But at the minute it's opening as far as Bridgewater. Now we have the London and Brighton Railway finally starting its main line, but at the minute opening only as far as Haywards Heath. I think I'm going to have to redo Red Hill because the Brighton main line right now is actually two separate lines, one owned like two sets of two tracks which are a few yards apart, and they actually like cross over each other several times. They weren't built at the same time and they weren't built by the same company. One was by the London, Brighton and South Coast, the other was by the South Eastern Chatham. This is to relieve the other two tracks mostly, and it's because of a big working disagreement between the two companies. Now for this segment, this is the opening of the Seg Hill Railway, and this is just a small colliery railway, so I originally wasn't going to include it. It was just built to transport coal from Seg Hill Colliery to the Tyne. However, I put it in as a thank you to my friend Sorton, who encouraged me to finish this because I've been working on the document, the Word document for this for years, and he was always asking, "How's it coming along?" He's proud of Seg Hill, so this is for him. Watch the train go from Seg Hill all the way to Hartlepool. It's not much of a trip. Anyway, straight on to the London and Brighton. It's finishing off its main line, so we now have trains directly between London and Brighton. Although the segment between London and Croydon is owned by the London and Croydon, they'll later merge them. Now we have the Kilmarnock and Troon Railway, which was at first wagon way more of, and it was actually opened in the 1819, I think. But I've put it in this point because this is the point it was converted into a proper steam port railway. Moving on, we have the Sheffield, Ashton, Underline and Manchester Railway, just for now opening between Manchester and Godley Junction. This line has later become the quite famous Woodend, which was closed in the 80s. Now a lot of people seem to regret that, as it was a very fast connection over the Pennines and it was electrified. Now we're seeing the first branch of the Air London and South Western from Eastleigh, to Fareham, which will later go down to Gosport and so on. straight back up to Scotland for the Edinburgh and Glasgow Railway. More time reading. I've got this time lapse on about 7 times speed, which is much faster than the other 2 episodes. And it doesn't give me much time to talk about anything, but it means I can actually fit in things in one episode. Edinburgh and Glasgow just right now opens, didn't go into Waverley straight away, that was by the North British, but it's used to using Haymarket as a terminus. At this point, actually, rebuild, it is rebuilding Glasgow, so we fit in all the suburban underground lines. Because you can't really have underground stations in this game, or curves underground, which is annoying. Moving on, extending the line, upgrading another branch, which allowed trains London and South Western to operate trains from Southampton all the way to Gosport, which was actually where it was used to connect to Portsmouth, as Portsmouth and Southampton were rival ports, and the London and South Western got Portsmouth. People of Portsmouth got upset that the London and South Western was providing a rail service to Southampton and not Portsmouth. Because if Southampton had a rail connection and Portsmouth didn't, Southampton would become much more used than Portsmouth, and eventually Portsmouth would fall into disuse. So they demanded that London and South Western quickly build a line to Gosport, no matter how indirect it was. We'll come back to that because we've moved on. I've got to talk really fast. The Birmingham and Derby is extending from Cambridge Junction Birmingham, so wouldn't have to use the West Coast Main Line at Hampton in Arden, which it is right now. That line between the junction and Hampton is going to become one of the earliest railway closures and one of the, I think it's the first parliamentary train. Because there's no use to keep it open, as it's just a small connection between a junction and a tiny village, since mainline trains didn't use it anymore. You have to mess around with the trains a little bit because for some reason the Great Central trains kept going into the wrong platforms in Manchester and getting themselves lost. Anyway, the Manchester and Leeds Railway extending its building its branch to Oldham, which is later actually going to become in the 90s, 2004 I think, to become a Metrolink. I shouldn't have done this here, I might change it in the future, but that's the change of the Grand Junction Railway, there we go, service from Earlstown to Liverpool, since if Manchester's already being directly served from Birmingham, Liverpool should too. Tynemouth train kept getting lost and going to the wrong platform. Still can't figure out why. OpenTTD train AI is... it's not the best sometimes. But it's an old game, so you can't exactly blame it. Also, for some reason, it's all that it says in the industry directory that goods can go to towns, as you can see here. Houses. Middlesbrough just wasn't accepting them. So I just thought, if they're not going to be grateful for the goods I'm supplying them, I'll send it all the way up to Sunderland Harbour, where they'll be sold in exchange for mining materials. The northern and eastern is extending to Bishop's Stortford now. I think this is as far as it got before it became absorbed by the eastern counties. Spoilers. Now we have the South Eastern Railway opening between Red Hill and Tonbridge. Now the current South Eastern main line between Tonbridge and London didn't open until a while later, so for now they used the Brighton main line as far as Red Hill. And like I was mentioning earlier, those extra turbo tracks, they were built later, but I'm putting them in now. Bristol and Exeter is extending from Bridgewater to Taunton. Well, half a year until something else is meant to be done, so apparently I just jumped forward and just went cut. But Durham Junction Railway was absorbed by the Newcastle and Darlington Junction Railway. Also, the Eastern Counties is extending from Romford to Colchester. I spent a while here looking at maps to see which lines are double tracks, which ones are 4 tracks, and so on. Finally decided on putting them into 2 tracks. because the map I was looking at, the old one in the late 1800s, it did show the line as 2 tracks through Brentwood and then so on. I don't think it was it must have been 4 tracked later. But because of the immense amount of traffic we're having, just had to put it in as 4 tracks now. I also just put the town of Chelmsford in now. I don't know why I decided against it when I was making the map. Probably just because I want to keep the town count low, but well, I've put it in now. Might as well. Now the Glasgow Paisley Kilmarnock and Ayr is building its branch to Kilmarnock. So you now have a triangle route with the Kilmarnock and Troon as well. Now the Marylebone Carlisle is building from the other way, from Carlisle into Wigton. We'll see those 2 lines joined up in a second. Another lost train I had to sort out there. Something I actually missed earlier was the South Eastern Railway extending from Tonbridge to Ashford, and now it's extending from Ashford to Folkestone. I assumed it was just 2 parts that would be later joined up, so I did miss that. I do just join them up later though when I realise something's wrong. Sorry about not talking. I just don't have anything. Don't have anything to say. Also, I forgot to descend the train out of the depot. I think this is the first show I've seen of the detailing that I've done. I've added some fields and places where there's no trees. Real quick, the Cheltenham and Great Western Union Railway has been absorbed by the Great Western Railway. What I'm putting in here is the is London Transport, just a bus service around the cities to link all the various stations, to encourage more people to like change in them and travel across the country more. Now we're seeing the Northern and Eastern extending to Hertford. Line's still in use today. Buses were bunched up, so I was just turning a few around to space out a bit more. Heading up to the Stockton and Darlington, and the Bishop Auckland and Weardale Railway is opening between Shildon and Crook. We're just finally going to give the extension into Bishop Auckland, so we're going to get rid of West Auckland Station in that bus service. Now, Bishop Auckland Station is actually a triangular one, or at least it was, and these are a bit awkward to put in when you can only work with perpendicular lines. I managed it though after a good few attempts. I don't even know why I put it in half the part. The triangularness isn't really going to be used. Oh well, it's an interesting station. This line was owned from the outset by the Stockton and Darlington, so I've just extended the moved the service from Stockton from West Auckland into into Crook. Again, that line, that service is just temporary. Once the network builds up a bit more on this, the Stockton and Darlington gets absorbed by the Northeastern. I'll make all the services proper. At the same time, I'm not sure if I remember to do this, but Canterbury and Whitstable Railway was absorbed by the Southeastern. I think this remained part of, like, an isolated part of the network until we reached Canterbury from Ashford. Now, so the Southeastern is extending across the Folkestone to Dover. I was in Dover Priory though, which is the station of Dover Marine, which was right at the docks for trains to connect to the Midland boats. Going all the way back to Scotland, and now the Wishaw and Coldness Railway extending from Moss End over the Newcastle town to Morningside. In reality, all these railways were a different gauge, Scotch gauge, and was slightly thinner standard. And there were more wagonways than proper railways, to be honest. Now the Norwich and Yarmouth Railway is opening between those two places. But it was Norwich Thorpe Station and Yarmouth Vauxhall Station. And it wasn't the route via Aysel, which we know today, but it was the other one via Reedham, which was more it was more indirect. The Bristol and Exeter Railway is finishing up its main line into Exeter St David's. Once again, there was an annoying church that wouldn't move, so I had to build St David's a fair bit out of the town, which it was in reality until the town grew out a bit. So I guess it's not all bad, but. Once again, I'm sorry for being quiet, I don't have anything to say. Now the Bolton and Preston Railway has been absorbed by the North Union, and the Midland counties, the North Midland and the Birmingham and Derby Railway have all merged into the Midland Railway, which will grow very quickly to become one of the biggest in the country. Now we have the West London Railway between Williston Junction and Clapham Junction. It's become useful for people who want to avoid London, and it also become useful for avoiding trains. Yeah, if you don't want to go to London, I don't blame you. You can use this. Although it's in what's considered London now, it was a little bit out of London. It was actually quite amazing to see how quickly towns grew in the 1900s, even up to the 1860s or even the 1890s, show that the towns are much smaller than they are today. I think I moved the sign around a bit in the cut, just so I can avoid that big bit that's parallel to the West Coast Main Line. It just gives us a bit more space to work with. Oh no, I done it on camera, fair enough. More vertical, so Kensington, Olympia. I don't think I was called that at the time, no, but it's also so we can fit in more streets around the area, as the town AI does not like diagonals. Next we're going back up north, with the opening of the Newcastle and Darlington Junction Railway finally, between Dome Junction at Leamside, which is absorbed, and Darlington. So we finally have a completed East Coast Main Line between Normanton and Newcastle, and then it's got to use the Midland between Normanton and Rugby, and then the London Northwestern between, the London and Birmingham between Rugby and London. It's a long ride. Also, yes, I've got to properly signal the Great Western Main Line this part. Put in a good few waypoints to try and actually make the AI do what I want it to, because they're very good at messing up their orders. Back over to the cross-country line, where the Bristol and Gloucester Railway opens between Gloucester and a junction with the Bristol and Gloucestershire Railway, similar names to different companies. And the Bristol and Gloucestershire Railway was absorbed by the Bristol and Gloucester Railway. Yeah, it's confusing. All you need to know is that now we have a line between Birmingham and Bristol. Now the Manchester and Leeds is building a junction, a branch out to Halifax, which isn't too far from its main line, but it's still a small branch, and they'll be later extended into Bradford. Once again, my train got trapped in Manchester. I had to fix it. Until eventually I got sick of it, just cut off, you were giving it away a couple of platforms only. Not even letting it access the other platforms. Is that what I'm doing now? No, I think I'm just messing around with more trains. But anyway, in a moment, we're going to see the Newcastle and Darlington Junction Railway absorb the Brandling Junction Railway. So now it has its own direct connection to Newcastle. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. Also, for some reason, the coal train from Seghill to Hartlepool decided to use the main line. point I realised I had made a mistake, because at this point South Eastern Exeter made a branch from Paddockwood to Maidstone. I was thinking, hang on a second, you can't build the branch if you don't have the main. So I quickly just put it in. So that's the start of what is now the Medway Valley line. There's a couple more absorptions, and now we're moving on to the Oregon, Leamington Union Railway opening between Coventry and Leamington Spa. Also Leamington Spa. But this is by the London Birmingham Railway, so it's a branch line owned by the same company. I also try to work out some tracks here so I can ship goods to the concrete plant in Rugby. I think I'll just leave it for now though. The absorption that happened before that cut there was the Sheffield and Rotherham Railway being absorbed by the Midland, as well as the Newcastle and North Shields Railway being absorbed by the Newcastle and Barrack Railway. The last thing we're doing is the Maryport and Carlisle finishing up its main line. We're connecting the two, and that's it. So thank you for today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm getting this off early so I don't have to